have emotions and think about things. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Hi, welcome to Emotional and Mental Justice. I'm Yuna, and welcome to my podcast. Today I will be discussing body image and self-esteem, but I'll be going into conditions of worth. So I would like to first start this episode by sharing one of my many favorite quotes. And this quote is by a Henry David Thoreau. It says, "What lies behind us and what lies ahead of us are tiny matters compared to what lives within us." I think that quote speaks for itself, because whatever it is that is within us, we are taking around with us everywhere we go. There's no escaping that, unless of course you decide to make changes. Now, I have a few questions. I've been asking myself, I've been asking people, and I'd like to ask you. How do you gain emotional satisfaction? How do you boost your self-esteem? How do you acknowledge your worth? Is it by how many likes you get on Instagram? Is it by measuring yourself on other people's opinions? How much do you like yourself when the compliments are not flowing? Does it make your world a better place when somebody says, "Oh, you're beautiful," but actually they only said that because you dropped from a size 18 to a size 14. And actually when you were bigger, you were still beautiful, but they missed that. By entertaining this, you are opening your body up to scrutiny. You're opening your being up to scrutiny. And everything you live for will be based on everybody else's perception of you. All of these are conditions of worth. They are bad habits. End them. By ending a bad habit, you're not giving up anything. You're gaining. You are relieving yourself of your burdens. You are setting off on a path to live your best life. And now, what are these conditions of worth that I speak of? Okay, so before I get into all of that, I would like to first acknowledge that I understand that when it comes to living life in general, including matters of the mind and the heart, there is no blanket one fits all. We all manage and deal with things differently. So I speak from personal experiences. I speak from stories shared with those that have surrounded me over the years, and from things that I've learned through things like education, reading. Now, back to conditions of worth. What makes us think that we need to meet those conditions? Well, this all starts from a very young age, when we learn that there are certain behaviors we need to display in order to please our parents, to please our caregivers, in order for them to praise us. And we get so hungry to do these things for that praise, which of course, as a child, it's much better than, being at the receiving end of that discipline endured because of the behaviors that didn't quite fit our parents' idea of a good child. Although some of our parents may have thought that they could shape and mold us into these little obedient beings that they wanted us to become, we are only human. Babies and children are only human, with different personalities, different characters, different developmental stages, and they too will fall short sometimes. But we all know how good that hug and that smile is that we get from mummy and daddy when we do the right thing, and that is enough to cause a child to consciously try to change their character to get that good hug. Now, these conditions of worth, they may start at home with our parents and our caregivers, but they also move on with us into the next stages of our lives, such as going to school. We get conditions of worth from teachers. We get them from, being picked or not being picked in the playground based on, how popular we are in school. And it moves on to later in life when we get jobs, our clothes, the best hair, who's got the best teeth, who's got the best body shape and body style and image and everything else. So it's as though life is just a whole big competition. Conditions of worth, though, are not always a bad thing. I mean, in certain circumstances, they do help us to grow and to be successful, such as an example could be a teacher and parent that push you to get straight A's, and it later landing you that big job that you never would have got if you didn't focus in your education. But do we have the wisdom and the strength to be able to step out of that and realize that life does not have to be a whole big competition? Can we say to ourselves that I will not compete with my neighbor for no good reason? I will do what I can do to the best of my ability, and because I know that at this present moment in time I could not exceed that ability, then I am satisfied. And when I say not to compete for no good reason, of course there are several good and healthy reasons to compete, such as sport. So you know that if you don't score that goal, your fans are not going to be happy. That's healthy. It's healthy enough, I think. So to be okay with conditional love and to understand it, because that's the world we live in, but not to feel that you have to live by all those conditions. If you are to live by somebody else's conditions, the only value that can possibly be given to yourself is in accordance with those expectations of that other person. And I believe that this can lead to you lacking self-acceptance and not accepting that you're worthy of being valued. And also it could lead you to being emotionally unavailable. I think that if you live by somebody else's dream, that dream may not be your own. And those dreams may not fit into your passions, your strengths, your abilities, and your natural talents. So you might always be trying, but with no real satisfaction. But when you follow your dream, oh my gosh, the passion could be so magical. I know what it means to follow your dream. I've done it several times. And it's magical. Now, how can we find a way to not let ourselves get so caught up in needing to be regarded positively to the point where we would rather accept being imprisoned in such a way than to risk that rejection by breaking out of those chains and doing what actually makes us happy? This is the justice that we're seeking. Doing things for us and not always for other people, or not based on other people's expectations.
We all have emotions and think about things. Let's talk about